Okay, so Bitcoin is showing some really good price strength right now, but I want to go over what I'm looking at, a lot of the stuff I said yesterday, and how we can determine the health within this short term uptrend that we're seeing, and then what that looks like in the bigger picture as well. So I'm going to break down a lot of things, and we're also going to look at Mara stock. I did invest an extra 10K into the IBIT position, so that is now 70K. Yeah, 70K invested. That's the current value as of today's market close. So before we jump into Mars stock, I want to break down this smaller picture and some stuff I said yesterday as well. But first thing we got to keep an eye on is how the heat map is kind of, backing up these fib levels, right? So we're not going to pay attention too much to the short term because you guys know how I feel about short term noise. I like to look at bigger picture stuff, and I like to, let all the all my indicators give me a proper view and a realistic view. So there's still some downside pressure for around that 109K level. So we're gonna look at that in a moment. It's actually gonna be a really really good. It's gonna give us a really good idea of what the support area looks like. There's a lot of short term resistance to the upside near the price, and then it's taking a minute to load. But it looks like that 120-ish K area is still alive for potential resistance, right? Because it's going to be just above this area. Most of it's actually more around 119. So this blue area stays intact very, very well um, for a second test of resistance. And then from there, we'll see if we can hold a higher low. There is a few like speculative stuff as well. Like, for example, today, the NVIDIA report was a big factor for the overall market, and it's influencing because it was very underwhelming. It's influencing a little bit of um, downside pressure on the chart right now. But it's very nice to see that the value gap we've been keeping an eye on for a while, from all the way back here, all the way back here. Excuse me. This value gap has been holding quite well as support. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna give you guys one more speculative thing before I actually jump into the what I'm looking at. But in the bigger picture, if you guys like those textbook inverse head and shoulders, like we kind of have one right here where we go down, we go up. This is a simple retracement, or in a overall downtrend, we go down one more low, and then now we're trying to see for us to potentially do something like this, and it will be backed up by, say, if the price goes up to around that 119K area, 118, 119 doesn't matter. A lot of those liquidation levels are probably going to change slightly, but they're all around this range. We can potentially hold a higher low and go up higher. But now, here's the thing, I am not looking for that pattern to play out just yet. As you can see, I'm trying to keep, my view realistic. Because if you guys remember that one spot I was looking at in the shorter time frame, look at 107, 108. Look at that. It's gonna be down here, nearing the bottom of the overlapping support area at the 1.618 at 107.5K. It's down here. It allows the price to come down a bit more. And these short-term resistance levels, which are retracement based off of this move, like this is not super significant because again, I repeat this a lot in so many videos. It's short-term noise, and if we can't break short-term noise, then overall retracement, another test of overall retracement right here for resistance, which will open up the way for higher prices. That that shouldn't even I'm not even worrying about this. In my opinion, it's like I'm not even worrying about this area unless we can break short-term resistance. And on top of that, the 120 moving average, right? Like obviously momentum is still bearish right now. So I'm not getting, overly optimistic. I'm not doing anything like that. But what I am doing is accumulating based on my own what I allow myself to do, what's good, like risk management and accumulation rate for me. So that's why I've been buying IBIT and the amount I've been doing so, because I really like where the prices are at. Like we're below 115K. This is very attractive for me, and any further dip will be short term lived. And that's mainly because the bigger picture retracements have always been such a helpful hand. I mean, we've been using them for like over a year, and they've been holding very, very well. And now these purple ones are deep value, short term deep value. These tend to be filled when there's external factors, like a bunch of like random news media or fear in the overall market causes the price to come down into short term deep value. If that happens, because it's external factors, usually, we see a quick recovery out of it because it shouldn't directly influence Bitcoin, but since it's still categorized as a risk on asset, then there's just no reason to fight that. So as of right now, and we held support very nicely. So we held support within here that I showed you guys yesterday, and now we went up into that short-term resistance from here. It's simple. From here, this is absolutely fine for this downtrend to continue and for us to get one more low and try to hit that liquidity around 107 K, right? 107 and 108, so we'll say 107.5. This is a very, very important area to keep an eye on because, it will completely fill the retracements and it will fill completely the previous retracements, right? It's as simple as that. At least that's how I'm looking at it. And the price strength in the short term is also represented by these lower lows. Like each of these lower lows, before we get a proper correction within the downtrend, and by proper correction I mean a correction that goes up into a fib retracement, we usually don't see that often. A lot of these quick recoveries are very shallow, so they're not significant. So I consider this a whole move down with the swing low, and now the swing lows are going to start getting, in my opinion, more shallow, and that's just indicating there's a lot of bullish momentum building up. Because I mean, technically speaking, I believe I already have it right here, but I'm gonna give you guys like a fresh one to look at. As you can see, this entire move, if you consider this to be a, let's see, I'm gonna make it red. But if you guys consider this whole move right here with the overshooting wave up into new all-time highs before the lower low happened, in the big picture 3-wave move, like it shows, right? Like we have that room to come down. It's overlapping very nicely with the support areas right here. So 107.5 is very attractive. Not that it's going to bounce at that area, but the moment we break that price, then, eyes are on if volume is going to shift or not. And because we're holding these structures very well and we're not just directly breaking below them, it shows that, the bear market has not started yet, at least in my opinion, and we have that anticipation for a rate cut happening soon. There's a lot of optimism, and we are, at least in my opinion, in very attractive accumulation opportunity, right? We're well below 115K. This is a very, very attractive price, in my opinion, that we're trading in right now. So I'm accumulating, and once we get an uptrend, and I've explained in previous videos what a confirmation of an uptrend looks like, because even though we're uptrending right now, this is not good enough. This is short-term noise. I want to see a proper retracement being filled once again, and then I want to see the overall retracement from the low up to that proper retracement. I want to see that top out, come down, and hold the retracement higher. So let's just say, before we jump into Mara stock, let's say the price did bottom here, and we're going to continue higher. Regardless of NVIDIA, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin is truly like a supply and demand thing. It's just right now there's a lot of influence when it comes to macroeconomics. But let's just say we go up to roughly somewhere around 116.5K. The idea is that we go up and then we hold the retracement and go up higher. The moment we break the swing high, you can even make it simple and say the moment we break the swing high and have enough momentum to hit that 0.618 at 118.5K, then at that point it's gonna be, we're gonna be quite far away from this low. The investor sentiment retracement levels are just gonna be too strong at that moment. So I would just, in my opinion, at least, I'll be considering that the low will be in. But until we can break short-term resistance, there's just no reason to be like overly optimistic in the short term. As you can see, we have retracement. We're not trading above the 120 moving average, and I mean, And even if you look at more short term price action, like we're still holding within support. So we have a chance to go up and break over the 120 moving average. But instead of worrying about a lot of that, what I'm doing is using the overall accumulation range as an opportunity to buy. And the longer we stay in this range, rather we stay in this range longer or we come down a little bit, I will add more. And it's as simple as that. Like that's just how I'm looking at it. I'm in no rush. Um, I like these price levels, and we're gonna see what happens in that September Fed meeting. But it's simple, right? The value gap imbalance is holding. We're still within overall accumulation support area. We are at short term support as well, but we need to see if we can hit the overall strong resistance area and actually hold a higher low and go up higher. It's as simple as that. And then anything within the purple, if random news comes out and causes a ton of fear in the market, like any dip in this purple area, and it's just every time I use these deep value areas, like it's just a quick recovery out of it. I mean, we can dip into it quite a bit, and we don't have to recover out of it, but it is. I think I have another one. Oh, I can't show you guys, but if you remember, if you go back, like last year, we had a really nice deep value area. We had a massive recovery out of it, but it's just how I see it. It's as simple as that, right? Because these retracements are so massive with so much like positive news coming up soon in the economy. It's just, I mean, I'm just repeating myself a lot, but I'm amazed that there's a lot of people that are being overall feared out of Bitcoin right now just because it's not recovering as soon as people want. It's To me, that's just that's not the way to go. That's not the way to go. You got to be patient, and instead of focusing on purely price action, determine where your ideal value looks like. And my ideal value is anywhere below 120k. And I mean, we're basically close to 110. Like, I really like the value right now. The structure is really healthy. We haven't seen significant swing lows being created where they're just crushing through support levels. If they were doing that, then I mean, the momentum would just we're probably looking at a bear market. But we're holding supports so well. There's a lot of like support behind Bitcoin right now that there's just no reason to be feared as much as people want. And I mean, we still have a little bit more downtime until we have bullish confirmation. Then we can still come down a bit more, and like we can be in the 107k range, like very easily, right? We're still in a downtrend, but support is reminding me like, hey, there's just no reason to be overly feared at these levels because the structure, like the bigger picture structure, shows that this correction could potentially find a bottom around that area, right? It's as simple as that. So now finally in Mara, because I feel like I repeated myself way too much, but in Mara stock, it's I've explained my overall view, an alternative view on Mara stock so many times already, so I'm not gonna explain it. I think I explained it in yesterday's video, so if you want to check that out, you can. So I'm not gonna talk about it again. It's a lot to repeat like every single day. But as of right now with Mara stock, we're being patient, right? Because we had really good opportunities to take advantage of longs and shorts within this sideways channel with resistance and support. And I explained this a lot yesterday and a ton of days before that as well. But we're just being patient because even though we are in premium a little bit, right? Because we're above that 0.5 in the overall support level at the $15.68 range. We're above it, but there's just no reason to get ahead of ourselves, right? Like the best thing I think, and I've read a lot of books on this too. They all say that the best trader is the one that doesn't take a trade. They wait for their ideal setup. And right now, for short-term trading in Mara, my ideal setup, and there's nothing wrong with like missing a move. If your ideal setup isn't there and you miss out on a move, like that's absolutely fine because you're not forcing the trade. You're waiting for the trade to represent a really good entry. As of right now, to me, a really good entry for shorts will be like some puts, or like I think there's some short ETFs for Mara. But if we go and break this blue resistance line, it's simple. And then the idea is that the RSI represent overvalued will be in the premium area of this channel above the blue line, and then from there we're looking at shorts and then locking in profits as we come down to support. I repeated this so many times, and then it will be the opposite for buying longs, right? Because remember when we broke below the support right here, because that's where the wick was. Once we broke below support, like anyone that got out of shorts and got into longs, it worked out pretty nice. It went all the way up to the retracement or the resistance, and then and the 120 moving average is perfectly in line with the 0.5. So I would not be surprised, just in my own opinion, I would not be surprised if we continue to dance around this area for a bit until we have a sustained break of structure into either direction. And I explained what that could look like in a previous video as well, in yesterday's video, I believe. So as of right now, because this is the setup we have, this is the trend. Like there's and we have a ton of factors. Like the 120 moving average is really balanced right now, around $15.68, and so is the 120 moving average. So everything is working in line. So until we have the sustained break of structure, it's simple: support and resistance blue lines, an opportunity to close out some longs, close out some shorts, open longs, open shorts, just depending where we're at. And that's the way to go, in my opinion. So as of right now, patience pays off. Because until we break the blue line once again, like we did here, like we did here, like we did here, like we did here, and like we did here briefly, it's important not to be greedy and not to force trades, but instead wait for them to present themselves. So just let's see if we go over the resistance, so we can start looking at some shorts. If we go below support, then we can start looking at some longs. And the idea is to start locking in profits every time we cross the 0.5 retracement. That's it. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you like Mara stock, if you don't like Mara stock, it doesn't matter what your view for this company is, your opinions on it. The stock alone, it's just straight up presenting a setup. And the setup is a sideways channel where it's consolidating. We've seen something like this happen in 2024, and we had a ton of trade opportunities to capture really simple support and resistance trades where we have a specific price. In this case is 16.68 as a medium level to indicate where we should start locking in profit as it extends to the opposite side of rather it's the retracement or the resistance or the support. So yeah, it's as simple as that. Until we have a sustained break of structure into either direction, the amount of volume and volatility inside the Mara stock, we're gonna continue to see these wild swings until we have that break of structure. These wild swings, if you're not greedy, you have really good exit points. Because look at that, if you were greedy here and you had some shorts, it quickly recovered. Same if you were greedy and you had longs, it's simple. Like it's simple support and resistance trading, sideways structures, a fixed price point at the moment for indicators start locking in profit as we extend further into the whichever side it's going towards, and then the signal to buy will be the moment we touch any of the trend lines, and then we know that we should be buying some shorts or buying some longs. But that's just my opinion, because as you're doing this, at any point we can also have a sustained break of structure, and that's why it's so important for everyone to pay attention to their SLs and position your SLs where they make sense for you personally as an individual trader. But yeah, hopefully this video made sense, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.